When you think of levels that someone might consider influential, what comes to mind? Maybe you think of an older level like Illusion that features effects years ahead of its time. Maybe you think of something more unorthodox like Black Blizzard, which ended up creating its own sort of style for extremes. Even Nine Circles, the catalyst for arguably the most overgrown trend in GD, has its fair place among this list. For me though, one level that stands out, something that should absolutely not be on this list, but manages to anyways, is Nah, I'm fucking with you, it's Bubinga Ate the Snow, let's get this over with. Bubinga Ate the Snow, for anyone that doesn't know, is a medium-length level uploaded by the account Bagingi on the GD servers, boasting a whopping 500 downloads and 50 likes at the time of this recording. This level has remained under the public eye for years. Despite this, a fanbase surrounding the level has formed over time, with notable players and creators alike taking notice to this otherwise forgettable level. So what qualities does this level have that warrants the praise it has received? It's probably good to bring up some context for this level before we directly address it, so let's get used to the type of levels Bagingi makes. Looking over Bagingi's collection of levels, it's easy to perceive all of them as shitposts, which is completely understandable. Looking at the first few sets of levels, most of them are short one-off jokes, with pretty colors and not much else. While levels like Bubinga, Lasagna, and the real Bagingi have little inherent substance to them, the levels that precede them begin to pick up in that department. Bubinga 4 New Year, for instance, takes comfort in wishing Garfield and Killer Bean Happy New Year's, two characters that have made recurring appearances in this series. An example of this is in Bubinga 6 Where Tub, which revolves around finding John's pipe, a reference to a Garfield comic from 1978. Surprisingly enough, this was a collab with Chloe 2012, who some of you might recall from their debut solo, Void, so it's interesting to see minds like this collaborate on such a wonderful product. Bubinga 7 The Trip, which is the penultimate level in Bagingi's current collection, is something I would like to take a bit more care discussing, as this level in particular is rather interesting in how it's made. Compared to its sister level, Bubinga 7 is quite similar in how the beginning parts are constructed, with rather blocky structures accompanied by large pixely backgrounds that set a rather atmospheric tone to the level. However, these two levels stray apart after this, with Bubinga 7 taking a much darker approach to representing itself. With dark backgrounds accompanied by vibrant visuals, this level is a sight to see, something even the creator acknowledges in the description. Although Bagingi's previous levels felt rather comical, this level in particular seems to stray away from that notion by putting much more emphasis into the atmosphere it creates for itself, something I can appreciate dearly. I'd like to think that this level perfectly sets up what was to come, as Bagingi seemed to have dipped his toes into the style of creating, but now is going all in for their next project. Going into Bubinga Ate the Snow, it doesn't have a lot to offer at first glance. With a mere 31,000 objects, most of which are dedicated towards pixel art, this level almost reeks of mediocrity in the complexity of its designs. What this level lacks in that department, however, is easily made up in the execution of ideas presented within the level, something that adds a very charming aspect to this otherwise bland level. This level is heavily inspired by Yuminiki, a game that although I have never personally played is something I can see strewn throughout the level. From the song choice, a Yuminiki tribute that encompasses the snow-based areas, to the various characters within the level itself, Bubinga 8 does a rather splendid job of incorporating elements from Yuminiki and molding them into an experience unlike any other. In Bubinga 8, we are greeted with a snowy cue part, one that references the snowy areas that are mentioned in the level's song. Following this, we have a rather interesting ship part, one that includes very peculiar pulses and unique characters that look strikingly like the neon creatures found in Yuminiki. Following this part, we are met with large pixel circles that cover the whole screen, followed by the climax of the level, the ending. To be completely honest, I have no idea what this part is supposed to represent, if anything at all, but that level of self-interpretation is something I find beautiful about this level. To some, this level might be represented best as an incoherent mashup of ideas, similar to Bagingi's other works, but to me I don't really mind that at all. With something as out there as this level, that level of interpretation is something that brings me back to this time after time. As someone who plans on playing Yuminiki in the near future, I hope I can look back on this level and spot any more nuances I might have missed on the first run. Beside the level's own quirks, this level is surprisingly substantial considering what levels have garnered inspiration from it. Off the top of my head, I can name 3 relevant levels that have directly been inspired in some way, shape, or form from Babinga 8 Snow. First off, we have Smox. Smox is an insane demon made by Durian Head, which was created to combat the nostalgia baiting that other creators often implement in their own 1.9 levels. A masterpiece in its own right, this level arguably takes the least inspiration from Babinga 8 out of the 3 levels, only sharing the song at first glance. However, I'd like to think that the very atmospheric undertones of Smox are inspired in part by Yuminiki, with its rather light blue part sharing many similarities in tone to the first part of Babinga 8. The next level I would like to mention is Nightlife, made by yours truly. I have mentioned this earlier in my own documentary of this level, but the second part of this level takes heavy inspiration from the first ship in Babinga 8, something I've said countless times to have been a wise choice on my end. The fact that I found inspiration from an unrated medium-length level still bewilders me, but the payoff was substantial and I cannot thank Baginki enough for that. The last level I can think of that has been inspired from Babinga 8 is Pink Nightmares by J-Ghost. This level, while being heavily inspired by Yuminiki, shares many assets that Babinga 8 had while massively building on them. Much like Smox, this level uses the snow-themed tribute song that Babinga 8 used. However, this level explores many more themes, one that parallels the absolute chaos that Yuminiki presents. One nice nod to Babinga 8 I noticed were the addition of these birds in the level. These share a close resemblance to this thing, dubbed the Neon Parrot. By including additional creatures present in the neon world of Yuminiki, and not just those within Babinga 8, J-Ghost manages to build upon the ideas of Bagingi while introducing his own influence onto the level, something that I feel parallels Bagingi's original intentions with Babinga 8 closely. One could make the argument that the mere inclusion of a song doesn't automatically make Smox or Pink Nightmares inspired by Babinga 8, but I would ask them to check the leaderboards on the level. Knowing that these individuals were familiar with the level far before they made their own levels implies the greater reach that Babinga 8 has had, something that I am rather impressed by considering how unknown the level is. So where does this leave Babinga 8 the Snow? As the legacy of Bagingi's career, I am somewhat confused as to why this level has not garnered the appreciation it deserves, considering the highly regarded levels it has kickstarted. When I introduce Babinga 8 to people, I am typically met with confusion, with many asking what I find so noteworthy about the level. However, the vast implication that this level owns up to has led to me showing the utmost respect for this level, and I wish these actions do not go unnoticed. Surprisingly enough, people have been petitioning for this level to be rated in-game, and although I am all for this movement, I would like this level to garner some more affection first and foremost. It's not every day that we get a level this inherently developed, despite it being deceptively simple at first glance, and it's an experience I hope more people look into.